This is Trash Talk with your host, Garrett the Trash Man.
All right, what is up, everybody? You are listening to Trash Talk, and I'm your host, Garrett the Trash Man. We got, as usual, John. How you doing today?
Dude, I'm doing wonderful.
Good deal.
It's been a good morning.
And it's been a couple weeks, but we finally got another guest on the show. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. My name is Casey Jones. I'm actually from Thatcher, Arizona. So came up here, and recently we started another location of our business that we do. But a little background on me. I'm the youngest of 6 in my family, and
John knows a little bit about that.
Oh, you big fan? Okay, cool. That's how it is. A lot of picking on each other in the family.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 9 boys. So.
There you go. So I met somebody in college years that's from Snowflake here, the Willis family, Becca Willis. Some of you guys probably know her, but and we got married 9 years ago, and right now we're taking our business and we're starting it up here in the Snowflake, the White Mountains area. And what I do is pest control. Been doing that for several years and love it. But a little bit about me, yeah.
Perfect. All right,
awesome.
we're gonna get into that. What's the name of your company?
Hydra Pest Control.
All right, sweet. All right, well, John, I hope you're ready to rant because I haven't even thought about it. So, are you ready? You're going first.
It's a good thing I was ready then. So my rant today is, it's funny, I go through patterns in my life of like a lot of learning and a lot of like really neat experiences. And then I notice that I get kind of lackadaisical and kind of asleep to like learning and bettering myself. And then life seems to always come along and just smack me upside the head and help me realize that like I don't know what I don't know. And I know I've talked about like that a little bit before on the podcast, but I just kind of had another realization moment this week of like, you know, it's very helpful for me to just always be aware of the fact that like, you know, as I go through life and I'm trying to learn how to grow my business and do different things in life and create the life that I want, like be aware of like I don't know what I don't know. And so to just keep learning and keep looking and being open to new things. Because when you're doing that, like at least in my experience, like it's been really useful for me to do that. And sometimes I get asleep to it and I'm not looking for it and I'm not able to have kind of the same experiences or have the same opportunities that are there. I'm just not seeing them because I'm not awake enough to it. So
makes me think of something I read the other day. It said, approach the next conversation as if you don't know anything. I was like, oh, that was really useful. I read it like right before I went and had a conversation with one of my managers of something I was pretty heated about. I thought it ought not be the way that it was, and read that, and it definitely changed the conversation because instead of me walking and being like, what the hell is this guy doing with this much overtime? Correct that, yada, yada. It was like, hey, what's going on here? Like, how is this guy as an employee? Like, I didn't know anything, and it was I produced what I wanted to produce. I think it was just a lot better way where I actually added to the relationship between me and my manager. I understood more about my business, and everything just was a lot better because I approached it as if I didn't know. Yeah. So I think in like life in general, like you're saying, how you can get your head down and not realize you're not learning things, or in as small as every single conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't know what you don't know, so remember that.
The funny thing is I had never heard that phrase up until like a year ago, but like now I hear it everywhere. Like, you just don't know what you don't know, and I'm like, why is it that I never like paid attention enough to hear this phrase like my whole life? Yeah. But to me, it's really helped.
All right. Well, I want to hear what's on your mind, but first I gotta ask both you guys. Can you guys smell me?
Like in a good way?
Like,
or?
I mean, in a bad way. Because I was just out. A roll-off just came in that I had to look at that was full of dead pigs. and not just dead pigs, but like embryos, placentas. Like,
wow.
Like it is,
that's incredible.
It was a nasty roll-off box. And it was stinking. I climbed up on it and looked over and was like, oh, yep. send it through the transfer station. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm so acclimated to those smells. I'm like, I might be sitting here and these guys are like, whoa, what did he just do?
Halfway through this podcast, I'm just gonna upchuck all over Garrett on his nice white shirt.
Well, that's good to know if you guys aren't.
You're clear, man.
All right.
Well,
so,
he probably used to smelling silage, so
Yeah, that's normal.
yeah,
So a normal part of it.
You know, all of us are in pretty dirty jobs, so
yeah.
we should be used to it. So tell us what's on your mind. What comes to your mind when we say, hey, give us a rant?
Sure. You know, a lot of how my mind operates. I always try to make some decisions based on coming from a good place, and being a business owner. You get the opportunity to interact with a lot of people, especially in my business, and super grateful for it. But it also I like to make sure I'm out there on the front lines and interacting and getting feedback. And I think I'm going to piggyback off of what you're saying. It is something that's been on my mind lately, is really not thinking that you've arrived and that you've learned every single thing, and always looking for another opportunity to learn from something, to read material, to be educated, and to be familiar. And I think because if we come and we jump to conclusions that we know everything and we approach every situation like that, we're going to create either some animosity with individuals, or we're going to cause other people to essentially, when we're coming to a situation where we feel like we know everything, there's nothing for us to gain from that situation. So
it creates a bad experience for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Is that what you were trying to say? I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I feel like that's what you were trying to say.
No, go ahead. I appreciate it. Trying to articulate that. But yeah, the end goal for me is to try to put myself in that person's shoes, and then to understand their level of mindset before I try to make any persuasion or try to persuade that person to come to my understanding. Is try to understand them first. So yeah.
If I'm hearing you right, trying to first understand, what their point of view and where they're coming from. I've noticed when I don't do that, at least in my experience, I've created an experience for the other person that I'm arrogant. Like, I've had feedback that, like, it comes across, at least when I do it, as like arrogance of like not really understanding their point of view, and that's obviously like not something I want to create. And so yeah, it's funny that you said that, because I had a conversation with one of my brothers probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, kind of about that, and it was nice enough because he was open enough. Luckily he's my brother, so he could be open with me like that and just say, yeah, like sometimes it comes across as arrogance. And I was like, oh man, I need to be aware of that, so that I can make people understand, like, hey, I'm trying to understand you, and just be open to whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember where I read it, but there was a study done. I have no idea how they did this study, but they did a study, and it was any situation that you think you have a total grasp on, that you understand all the context, all the complexities, every piece of it that goes into it, any situation. They ran this study, and what they found, that any given person generally knows anywhere from like 3 to 7% of all the information that's going on in any situation, given all the context that's created with the situation that happens. And that was fun to me, because I'm like, yeah, I walk around like I know what the heck's going on. And in all reality, best case scenario, it's like, yeah, I know 7% of what's going on.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. But that made me think with your business. I'm curious, did you first interact with pest control by selling pest control?
Yeah.
I kind of figured.
I think I got into it probably the traditional way that most young returned missionaries, kids of our age, are exposed to that culture. And in Utah, it's really rampant. And so I think it's just in their nature to, hey, you're already doing A, why don't you come and do B? Mm-hmm. And so automatically they jump into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually started out in hating anything to do with sales. I couldn't stand people that sold anything. Like I'd go into the mall and those people that were in the middle aisle trying to sell you their products. Like I was so frustrated when they would try to approach me. So that was my mindset towards individuals. And then I had the opportunity to take a job where it incorporated sales a little bit, and that job allowed me to keep my basically keep my conscience, let me go home at night and sleep good and know that I was doing a good job and still selling a good product. And that introduced me to sales being a good opportunity. And so I worked with another company in Utah and Colorado, and learned a lot of great skills and worked with a lot of great individuals that helped me see that sales was also an opportunity to build yourself and to help other people. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That's
the
how I
way
got
you were
into it.
describing a conversation, for me, I was like, man, that's good salesman. I know when I first got introduced to door-to-door sales, it was like I've got to say the right thing somehow.
Yeah.
And it took a long time, and success didn't come until I realized there's not the right thing I've got to say. I've got to understand what's going on over there. And then it's real simple. It's like, oh, I get it. Here, this is a perfect fit for you. Or it's like, yeah, this isn't the right thing for you, man. Like, thanks for being clear. And I saved myself a ton of time and that person because I wasn't beating my head against the wall when they're like, no, I don't want it. And I'm like, oh, I just got to say the right thing. Let me just keep talking. So, yeah, that's why I was curious because I know a lot of people can get into the pest control industry that way. Not all of them, but some do. And then, yeah, how you're describing having a conversation with someone sounded to me like a really good salesman.
Door-to-door sales guy, yeah. That was me. That was me.
Me too.
I had a very similar experience of just like, well, first I kind of jumped headfirst into a sales job that absolutely sucked, and like just I hated it. And then I jumped into another one that was a lot more along the lines of like that worked for me. And yeah, I had a pretty similar experience of like, okay, yeah, I can handle this. And then next thing you know, I own my own business and have to sell myself every day to make a living. So
Yeah. I still wish though that was like some requirement, either after college, post mission, before college, something. So many people, I'm like, hey, you're gonna be selling for the rest of your life. Make your livelihood depend on for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So you know what the heck you're doing. I wish everyone could get that. I recommend that to anyone that like any kid that gets home. Like I've got a brother-in-law that got home from mission recently, and guys like that, I'm always like, go sell first. You're going to get way more education spending a year doing that than 4 years of college, in lots of cases than 8 years of college. So
I'll just say a little plug to that. I think if anybody who's watching is thinking about going and doing door-to-door sales, I think that experience and having a door-to-door program, you're going to get a lot of bad eggs of companies out there that don't have your best interests in mind. And you got a lot of companies that are going to throw tons of money and prizes and incentives at you to get you on board. And I think the most important thing to take away is you need to make sure you're going to whichever company it is and looking at the overall experience as an opportunity to build your resume and to help you in whatever career it is that you choose. And I think if you look at it that way, you'll have a much healthier experience doing it.
yeah.
And see it with a good end in mind versus just wanting to go out there and make a ton of money, which is not bad. It's not a bad thing to want that, but having another good ambition along with it.
I think you'll make a lot more money in the long run if you're focused on, hey, I want to be a part of a company that I'll learn and I'll grow.
Yeah.
And a team and a leader that will teach me how to be a leader and a team that will teach me how to grow, rather than which one will throw the most money at me. Because
Sure.
I think lots of times the ones that will throw the most money are the ones that don't have the other things to actually back it up, and that's why they have to throw out the most money.
Just to put the blinders on their eyes
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Don't look at this.
Shine up a turd.
you can put lipstick on a
this.
pig, but it's still a pig.
Yeah. All right, well, let's do a quick sponsor read. Thank you, Larson Waste, for sponsoring this podcast. World's best trash service. I think that's all there is to say about it. So if you haven't got on with them, get on with them. And
As in sign up for their services is what he's saying.
Oh, sure.
get it on with them. Get it on with Larson Waste.
Wanted to clarify there. The sponsor read. Sponsor read, everybody.
All right. Yeah, let's dive into this, though, because we've already been talking a little bit about your business and kind of how you got into the industry. So share with us, if you will, how you went from, sounds like you were doing door-to-door. How'd you go from door-to-door to owning a business, and what that looked like, when it happened, all that?
Sure. So we moved from Arizona, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago. No, 6 or 7 years ago to Utah to go and pursue this opportunity, and we packed everything up and went up to Utah. So we didn't have any intent of coming back. We wanted to make this thing work, so we went up there, and I did the door-to-door sales program for a few years with this company, and then honestly I had a bad experience managing and recruiting door-to-door sales reps. So I felt like it was a good idea to get out of it. We took a break. We came back here to Snowflake, and then this company called me up again and said, hey, we have a technician position opened up in Colorado and want to know if you want to take it. And if you do, you need to be here in about a week. So I talked to my wife about it, and we felt good about it. So we said yes, and I drove up there and started working as a technician. Now, I knew how to sell pest control, but applying product and doing the actual service was a whole nother thing. And so I had to use my sales skills to portray to those customers that I knew what I was doing, because my training that happened was not like a 2 or 3 week course. It was one day, and it actually was like 3 or 4 hours, and then the next day my manager says, hey, tomorrow you're doing a route on your own. I said, okay. So
Go get it done.
Here we go.
Baptism by fire.
So, but luckily I had a lot of good mentors in my childhood that helped me see these opportunities as growing opportunities, and so I just, all right, take it. So fast forward a little bit, a couple months go by, companies getting ready to split into a north and south location, and they need another manager to run the northern location. And so and this is a company's got 5,000 or 6,000 customers in one section, and that's a lot of people to take care of. So they reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to run this north location? And my response to them, I don't know a dang thing about pest control. Like, you guys want me to do this? I don't know anything. I'm like, don't worry about it. You'll learn it.
You'll figure it out, man.
You'll
That's
figure
how
it
we're
out.
doing
That's
everything.
how it is. All right, cool. So we jumped on board. We did that. We were there for about 1.5 years, a little bit less than that. But after that, another position opened up where they wanted me to come back to their headquarters in Utah and run their customer care department. So I did that job for about a year, a little over a year, and we got the niche. We just wanted to really get back home closer to family here in Arizona, and that 12, 13-hour drive was not really that ideal, you know. So we got to a point where we had a lot of thoughts and whether we should do this, whether we should go and start a business, because I never thought I would be in a position or have the knowledge or the know-how or the understanding, the ambition to go and start my own. And so we just decided to do it anyway. And my goal from the very beginning was not to be a door-to-door marketing company.
Mm-hmm.
I think some businesses are set up that way, and that's their approach from the beginning. Mine, I just wanted to be a local pest control company that brought modern methods to a small town,
Mm-hmm.
which really didn't exist in Thatcher and Safford. So we did that. We went there, and 2018, spring 2018, we got the thing going, and just did what I knew and went door to door and got customers and spread it word of mouth, and then took advantage of social media
Mm-hmm.
and used that tool to really expose our business to the local community. So it's been a couple years, 2.5 years now since we've started, and right now we just recently opened up here to the Snowflake location. So from where we were at I never thought I would be where I'm at running a business, pest control. As a kid, I wanted to be a roller coaster engineer, and so this is really different than what I was hoping for.
Wow,
You can do that
So-
later.
Talk about that. So yeah.
That's not something you hear every day. Roller coaster engineer. That's pretty ambitious right
Well,
there. That's,
I found out it involved a lot of math, and that is not something I'm good
You're like,
with.
I
so
thought I was just going to be drawn, like, it would be sick, all these
Roller
loops
Coaster
and-
Tycoon, the little game on the computer.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
You're like, I am about this.
My dreams were just shattered. Found out that's not true.
What? There's physics and math. And
that's funny.
oh, that's incredible. And it's cool to hear how step by step it was like, hey, I don't know, but you took on the challenge. And I'm sure you still are having that, at least in my experience of business, like that's almost a daily thing. It's like, I don't know, but let's go figure it out.
Yeah.
And so that's super super cool, and something that I wonder about, because it seems like a lot of companies, I get asked about it a lot, and people are like, well, how do I do it? How do I get started? Like, it seems like an obvious thing. What did you see as an opportunity in social media marketing, and how did you take advantage of that for your business?
Well, Facebook and Instagram and a lot of these newer social media platforms are really clever to gather all of your personal information. And it's scary, but it's smart why they do it, because then they are able to create opportunities for advertisers or businesses like us to go in there and put out an ad, and it targets that ad to an individual looking for information related to our business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the scary thing of it. To be honest, I'm not super excited to have all my personal information out there, and I get ads targeted to me, and a lot of the stuff I've bought recently has been because of Facebook ads. So it's clever what they do, but to use advertising through social media, it's smart because almost everybody's got a social media platform. A lot of people use it just to stay in contact with family, to be up to date. It's instant information. So as scary as it is, it's also a helpful tool, and it can be used in a healthy way as long as you're cautious of those things that the platform's doing. So I thought social media is going to be an information platform where we're going to share content about our business, give information, updates, prizes and giveaways are exciting to do, and also to kind of give an inside scoop of what that business is doing. I wouldn't say day to day, we don't update as often, but as often as we can, to give our customers and people who are interested in services an idea of like what's going on on the indoors, the inside. And to be honest, I have to give credit to the businesses that started without social media or any of these platforms. Hands down for these people, because they've had to do it with paper, the newspaper advertising, radio, a lot of these archaic methods that are still around. But let's be honest, we have this. We're spoiled.
Yeah.
In our
Yeah.
generation,
Oh, yeah.
we really are spoiled to have these tools, and so I don't take it for granted. But I have a lot of respect for businesses that have started without these tools
Yeah.
today.
Well, with some of the stuff you just said, what popped to my mind is like, I don't know how business owners did it before YouTube. Like, I seriously YouTube so many of the issues I don't know how to do, and I'm like, YouTube it and figure it out. And before, you just didn't have that, especially if you were from small towns like we all are, Snowflake or Safford and Thatcher. Like, it wasn't like you just like, oh, let's go find someone in my city that does that. Like, chances are you're the only one for 100 miles that does it, or is working on doing it. So,
well, how long has Larson been around as a?
So Larson's been around. What would this be? 21 years.
21 years.
And then my grandpa's company that Larson acquired, Snowflake Sanitation, started in like the 50s.
So then, when they were picking up trash delivery, like, was it a piece of paper map, and you just follow this line? So
well, and
you got to think like
That probably wasn't
that's
even
incredible.
that at the point.
yeah, well, there's a funny story. My
If
grandpa.
you see the trash, pick it up.
Yeah, my
That's
grandpa had he had a molding mill here, and he had his waste company here as well. and then he had an opportunity to buy a waste company over in Cottonwood. He bought that company, and it was going for a couple months, and they had all their drivers quit. I have no idea why, what happened with it, no idea, but all the drivers quit. So he and my grandma and my uncle and my aunt were just driving the streets of Cottonwood. Just, hey, if you see one of our cans, grab it. And they're just driving it like a grid. So, yeah, it's definitely been there, done that. And I've done that with Payson that we opened up last year. We had a couple issues, and I ended up running that route. And even with the technology we have now, sometimes in the small towns are not as good as they could be.
Yeah.
And you're going, well, we're going to just drive all the streets.
Yeah, you get to neighborhood and like, hey, these 4 streets aren't even on the map.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're going to drive these 4 streets and see if we can
we better check if we've got a customer. Yeah,
Probably
so.
pick up the trash cans a couple times. Oh, it's empty.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Oh,
This
I
one
have been here. I thought I had been here. Yeah, so seriously, technology makes so much easier, whether it's marketing or anything. Because I know I've been approached by radio guys, and some of it makes sense, but the lack of analytics that they're able to give you, I'm like, man, how scary would that be if that was my only way to advertise? Is
Yeah.
I'm just guessing if it works. Like,
Yeah.
I hope people hear it. I hope people like it. I don't really get any feedback. Where, yeah, social media, I mean, you get who likes it down to their gender, age, where they're living, different hobbies that they like. All right, that person's liking it. Let's tweak this a little bit. Let's do that.
Whether they were sitting on the couch or not.
Yeah,
Almost.
seriously.
How do they know all that?
Yeah.
Man?
And yeah, there's times where I'm like, oh man, we need to get people out of our lives. But then there's other times where I'm like, this is freaking handy. I love it. Like, I love when I Google something, and then it's like, yeah, for the next 4 days, I can count on. I don't have to keep doing the research. It's just going to show up for me.
Pops up. Whoever's spending the most advertising dollars is
Yeah.
going to pop up.
Yeah, I'm like, I need a new freaking pair of sunglasses, and I like look at 2 pairs, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not sure. I'll check Facebook for the next 4 days, and I'll have a lot of options. I'll know everything that's out there, and we'll go from there.
The trick is you just start talking into your phone. It doesn't even have to be on or anything like that. Just start talking to your phone what you want, and then all of a sudden ads start popping up random places, right?
So I sort of believed that. I wasn't sure until one morning. One morning, my wife saw my blow dryer broke. Oh, I'm like, all right, I'll get you a new one. And seriously, like 3 hours later, I had an ad pop up, and it was for like a Dyson blow dryer. And I was like, I've never had this ad before. That is so real. Of course, our phones are always listening. And I've gone back and forth for a while. I was like, oh, yeah, like I'm not going to fall into that. I'm going to stay out. And then I'm like, I literally would have to go live off the grid. Like, it's too integrated at this point. Like, maybe I'm wimping out by waving the white flag, but I'm like, whatever. Have all my information. If I ever try to, I'm going to have to leave my watch, my phone, my everything, and like totally go off the grid because I'm sure my TV's listening to me, my phone, my iPads.
Your desk.
My desk.
Everything.
Yeah, but
your truck.
Oh yeah, for sure my truck. Yeah, I kind of went off, but yeah, you're right. I too have a ton of respect for people that built businesses. Yeah, I mean even 10 years ago, it was a different world.
It really is.
And I mean door to door used to be the only way to go get your word out. It was like, yeah, what else can we do? You have to go do it customer by customer, and now you can instead of talking to each customer to tell them about your ad, you can send a message, spend $5, and 10,000 people see it.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is crazy. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah,
pretty nuts.
So one thing I've noticed. So your brother-in-law, I saw the truck that and I'm making some connections, so let me know if I'm wrong.
For it.
I saw your brother-in-law in a Hydra Pest Control company up here. I'm assuming that's the star of the branch.
White one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a sweet truck. Like, I love when people spend money and the effort into like, hey, this is nice. We're a quality company. This is a quality truck. Because you see so many like pest control to me seems like one of those businesses that a lot of people jump into because compared to like, say my business, the overhead to get started in my business,
it's a lot. You got to have some people with some deep pockets. Yeah.
To get started. Pest control, it's a little bit lower barrier of entry to get started.
Very true.
So I feel like I do see guys that like, print out a sticker on their printer, put tape on it, slap it on a truck, and they're like, let's go. And so I saw that truck. I'm like, man, this is a real company. And I've been so curious about whose it was. And so I guess what I'm asking is, was that intentional? And what's your intention behind having a vehicle like that? Is that something that you do with all your vehicles, or what was the deal with that?
Well, you've given us too much credit. I mean, he's got a magnet on the side of his truck. Minus the truck is outfitted and it looks good, but we're still working on upgrading the decals at least.
Uh-huh.
But that's just me being budget minded and making the decision when it's right and it's healthy for the business, and not going into debt for trying to look cool. I guess that's my mind, but at least look professional enough to get the job done.
Yeah.
That's and it obviously made an impression for you. So, the way I have it with our other trucks is just to be just to catch people's attention. I don't think there needs to be a ton of advertising on a truck and advertise every single thing about your business on the truck. And people do that. That works for them. For me, that's not how I see it. I just want it to be where there's a brand that's on the vehicle, the service vehicle, and that people recognize the brand. And then we already have tons of ways to get in contact with that brand. We can go and look it on online, and there you go. You're going to find that information. So you don't have to put every single service that you do that's included with that business. So that's one thing. Colors, just making sure to stand out, and another thing too, and how my mind operates on just owning a business is, a lot of us will start a business and then we'll put a ton of money into our work-related expenses, and we'll make it super, super fancy. But then if we put a sticker of our company on there, then it's a tax write-off. And so I hope that I don't portray that to anybody. I like nice stuff. I like to have nice things, but when I can afford it, if that makes sense. And so I'm not here to create a company where I can just finance and pay for all my toys. Like, I want to create a company that's going to impact people's lives and actually deliver good service for individuals. And having a nice vehicle is just part of the job, because that's going to help us deliver consistent results for our customers. That's going to show the professionalism that we take into our business, that we want to have reliability, and not to show up in a truck that's going to break down or be inconsistent and stuff like that. And I've had that with my first service vehicle. I just I had some help and I got a truck that was about to break down, but I made that thing work. And I'd say about 6 months into it, the vehicle I was driving, I was going 65 down the road, and the rear axle just fell off the vehicle. Just like ripped out. And I'm just thinking, like, this is all part of starting a business. You know, I wasn't pissed. I wasn't upset that happened. It's just like another little setback, and then I'll get back to it, and we'll keep moving forward. And so I have pictures of this truck, and those magnets that Kyle has on his truck, those are magnets from my very first service vehicle. So I enjoy growing a business where we're not sitting here going into debt to finance everything to make it all work, and in other words, bootstrapping it, and the business is helping itself grow. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Makes sense.
I just like the sense that, like, a lot of people probably would have gotten really worked up about that situation, but you just kind of were in the understanding, like, hey, I committed myself to this. Like, I created this situation. Like, it is what it is. Let's move forward. Instead of getting all worked up about it, like, I know that there's been times where I had your mentality, and then there's been times where, like, oh, this is so stupid. Why is this happening to me? I'm like, well, guess what, dude? I committed to this. Like, I've created this whole circumstance. Like, I'm the one that's responsible for it. So I like that you had that mindset, because
it's not going to change it being mad about it. So just accept it, learn from it, move forward. And then it makes for cool stories like we're doing right now. So
where the back axle just falls off the truck. That's a good story.
That is really good. It's not like a tire blew out or like even an engine exploding. Like you hear a pop and
instant lowrider.
Yeah, but having an axle tore out, it's pretty cool. Well, All right, well, to wrap it up, what I want to know, last question for you, what do you like best about being a business owner?
The growth that comes from it. Holy smokes, there's a whole lot of growth. You think, I think about the jobs that I've had where I could wake up, show up at 8 a.m. and from 8 to 5 or 6 or whatever time it was until I went home, all I had to worry about was that job. And then being as a business owner, worrying about your job or your business doesn't stop after you get home. And so the growth that comes from learning how to balance your life and to balance the business and to keep it running smoothly. And because a lot of people within the first 5 years of starting that business, they just want to throw in the towel or look for an opportunity to sell or to like get out of the scene. And so they don't have to run everything and not think about it on a day-to-day basis. So as it's a challenge to say, like, it is not the most exciting thing to have to worry about a full 24/7 schedule. The growth that comes from it, and you can look back and see what little baby you've created, you know, this little company that's helped you become the person you are. I think that's invaluable. And so I try to remind myself every day to look at it that way rather than me waking up and going to a job. I try to look at it as an opportunity to just keep pushing forward and growing and creating an opportunity for other people, you know.
Yeah.
So
Love it. All right, fellas, let's plug our companies. John, how do people get in contact or see what's going on with old Ballard Homes? You say
Ballard
it.
Senior Home
I
Care.
never say it right.
No, mostly Facebook's the biggest platform that we push, mostly because that's what we found works best for us. So look us up on Ballard Senior Home Care on Facebook.
All right. And, you can follow Larson Waste across any of the platforms. Old Tyler here's getting our YouTube channel looking just right on point. And Garrett the Trash Man across any of the platforms as well. And how about you? How do people get in contact with Hydra Pest Control?
Sure. So Hydra Pest.
Hydra. Okay.
Thanks.
Like Hell Hydra.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, it sticks. That's all that matters. It sticks.
Hell Hydra. Do you have all your employees do that every morning?
No, yeah.
You walk, Hell Hydra.
Everybody stand up. Put your arm up. No. I will say though too, just so you know, a lot of people think it comes from the Marvel, but it's really from the Hydra monster, the Hercules,
Okay,
7-headed beast.
Yep.
You know. So you chop off the head, it pops back up. So resilience and tenacity is what I was going after. Okay.
Both are cool.
But if you want to think of it that way, it sticks. That's all that matters.
That's what came for with that because when they kill themselves, they're like, kill one, 2 more will grow, you know, and then they eat their iodine pills.
So you can get in contact with us. Our website and Facebook, you can find us at Hydra Pest, hydrapest.com. Phone number, you can call us directly. It's 833-493-7229. We'll be happy to take care of you. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Appreciate you guys listening. Share it with your friends. Peace.
Deuces.
Thank you.